stress. Stress is going to affect your scale. Stress is going to cause your cortisol levels to be hiked. And when that happens, that causes the sodium issues that we were talking about. But when you start stressing a lot, you start releasing cortisol, that causes your sodium retention to kick in, and you start holding weight, water weight. And what we talked about yesterday was that sometimes can turn into a nasty cycle because you start holding on to so much weight. You start stressing more, and then the cycle continues. And when you get deep into that stress cycle, you actually start gaining true weight. So that's why it's so important not to stress over just like a couple pounds gained, unless you ate like literally over 7,000 calories above maintenance that day. Gaining 2 pounds is not that big of a deal. It's not real. It probably wasn't fat. So it's very, very important to understand that unless you like truly gorge, like even most people when they binge, it's like 3,000 or 5,000 calories, but you would have to eat above and beyond your maintenance. So if your maintenance is, 2,500, you'd have to eat 3,500 over that, to have like truly gained. So it's important not to stress, because if you stress and then you gain the temporary gain, and then you keep stressing, then you start pushing yourself further into like adrenal fatigue zone, and you're going to start gaining some real weight, and it's going to be fat, and it's going to be belly fat, and it is going to suck trying to get it off. Let me tell you from experience, that belly fat that you gain from stress is going to be so insane, and it is going to be the hardest weight that you have ever had to get off. So just an FYI, that's just my disclaimer over not stressing. If you have gone through the stress roller coaster, I will tell you that I denied it. I denied it for far too long. I sat and I went through, that's why when I'm talking about stress, I'm talking about it from experience, because my job obviously is very stressful, and I spend a lot of time trying to talk my clients off the ledge. So, and this was, I guess a few years ago back when, and I've always preached to them like, oh, don't stress, don't stress, don't stress. And it was fine. But this particular year, a lot of stuff was going on with my business, with my marriage, with my life, just in general. I was under so much stress, and I started gaining like crazy. And I just thought that I need to step it up. I need to, tighten up my eats. There was just so many things that I started trying. And the thing was that I knew in the back of my mind, but I did exactly what I talked about in my scope yesterday. I brushed it off. I said, I know I'm under a lot of stress, but I could probably do this. And I tried to find all these ways around it other than actually managing my stress. And let me tell you, my stomach grew to the point that my husband asked me if I was pregnant. He asked me if I was pregnant. And this was just like straight up, like how long did he probably have to wait before saying that? Because if he knows me, he knows not to say that. But he was so serious, and he was so serious that I started wondering, like, am I pregnant? It was really bad. And it was so noticeable because the stress belly gain is like, it's not just like a normal, like overall gain, or like where, women, a lot of times we do tend to gain in our hips. Most women, that is the preferred fat place, like for their body want to hold on to fat in the hip area. Typically it's guys who have a problem with the belly. Not that we don't have problems with belly, obviously, like after having kids and stuff like that, but that is there usually for guys. They deal more with their fat wanting to like stay in the middle, and women, it just starts like landing on the hips. But when you start gaining that stress belly, there is like, I'm telling you, that was the hardest thing that I have ever had to fight back from. And it's worse when you don't accept it and you just keep grinding, trying to get it off. And the very things that you are doing, trying to make that belly go away, is making it worse because you just continue to stress. You start tightening up on the diet, which dieting is a stress. You start going hard in the gym, which working out is a stress. Me of all people, I started adding cardio. I started doing a lot of cardio. I hate cardio. I talk all the time about cardio. I tell all my clients not to do cardio, especially because most of them are over dieted. And I know that that's going to kill their results. But I mean, I was just trying everything. Like, dude, there has to be something else. Like, yeah, I'm under a little bit of stress, but no, I was under a lot of stress and I was in denial. I was doing cardio and I just got bigger. Oh my gosh. It was so embarrassing. And I had so many like events and things booked that year, and I was traveling to places and had to see people, and I was seeing some of my online clients for the first time, and it was so embarrassing. Like, and all that did was continue to add to the stress. I'm going to like cry now thinking about it. Like, I was so hurt that year, like, because I just felt like, okay, this is all crashing down. And I was doing the very things that were making it worse. And you can't try to exercise it off. When you're in that state, when you're in the over dieted state, when you're in the crashing metabolic state, then you have to toss everything that you've ever known about dieting out the window, because you keep going down that route and it's going to get worse. And it's just sad that so many people don't realize it until, you know, like for me, I gained quite a bit, but I've seen people gain so much more before they finally accept what's happening. And that's the thing. We know, and you know, when you're stressing, don't add more to your plate. That was the worst part for me, was because I was getting bigger and I was getting softer, and I'm not really a person who's known for, like, I mean, I preach muscle all the time, and I was just getting softer and softer. My body just felt like it was just at a constantly elevated level of stress. Cortisol was just like blood flowing through my veins. I mean, that's all there was. So if somebody asked, like, how did I get out of it? I think that's what somebody asked. I quit doing all the cardio. First of all, I went back to what I knew was better. I stopped dieting. I took my calories back up to maintenance. I did the very things that I preach. So we talk a lot about metabolism reset. And if you're going through this, you're feeling like this is you, I encourage you to go get our free quick start guide, because it just breaks down the process of how to start digging your way out of this hole, or climbing out of your hole. I guess if you dig, you go deeper. Check that out. And that's the steps to just start coming out of that. So if that's you, then I would highly recommend a metabolism reset. That just means that you got to rewind it back. You have to stop doing the cardio, at least for a period of time. If you love cardio, and we talk about this all the time, so I don't want anybody to think this is like a cardio bashing segment. If you love cardio, I say all the time, cardio for fun, ways to transform. But if you are in an over dieted state, you have to understand that in order to get back to a healthy state, you have to cut back on the cardio. You may need to, if you're doing a metabolism reset, you may have to cut it out completely until your reset is over. And then you can gladly sprinkle it back in healthy doses, so that you can still have the thing that keeps you going. If you feel like it's your therapy, you feel like you can't live without it. Because if you're going to keep doing those things, then you're just going to keep running your body into the ground. It doesn't matter how good it feels. It doesn't matter how much you're sweating. It doesn't matter how much you feel like, if I just go a little bit harder, it won't work. Doing lifting is going to be great for your body. Doing like Pilates or yoga is going to be excellent for your body. And you want to make sure that those are lower intensities. So you want to set aside the power yoga for a while, set aside the power walking. You want to do leisure walking. You want to do leisure, like the lower intensity yogas, not necessarily like power or like hot yoga. Those things are better once you're healed, but when you're trying to heal, you need to set those things aside and just focus on more low impact, low key exercises. And somebody said they thought they had hypothyroidism, but it was stress. That happens a lot. A lot of people think they have food intolerances and it's stress. So many people are feeling like they have all these issues and they're blaming it on everything but the thing that's actually causing it.